and welcome back to the Forward Podcast with Lance Armstrong. I am Lance Armstrong. Hope you guys have had a good week, and thanks for tuning in, and not just today's podcast, which is, I don't know, these things just, for me, get funner and funner, and maybe in some ways get easier. Super excited about this week's guest. But what do y'all got going on this week? First of all, if you just got some shit you want to say, let me know. Send me an email, theforwardpodcast @wedosport.com. And WeDo is WEDU sport, so singular. Theforwardpodcast @wedosport.com. And let me know what's happening. Or say whatever the hell you want to say. Tomorrow I'm headed to Iowa, which for an event called RAGBRAI, which for you non-cycling people is, you probably have never heard of it. RAGBRAI are the initials, which stand for Registers Annual Great Bike Ride Across Iowa. And it's a week-long event. They've been doing it for, I think, close to 40 years. I'm trying to get the race organizer director, TJ, on my podcast. I think he'd be fascinating. But this is, if you guys can just visualize this, it's 7 days long. Or 6 or 7 days long. It's from the west side of the state to the east, and it's wacky. It's like Woodstock on bikes. There's no start time. It's a rolling start. You can start whenever you want. You can take your time. There's all the towns along the way. People stop and have food and drink beer and eat pie, and so I think people are probably coming off watching, the biggest bike race in the world, the Tour de France. This is not that, right? This is something totally different. There's a little bit of the Tour de France in it, but then there's a whole lot of, pork chops and just freaky stuff. And it's I love it. And I'd have to ask TJ, the organizer, but I think the numbers, there's an unofficial and an official number. They cap the entries, but it's tens of thousands of riders. And then of course you have people that just want to hop in and ride for a day, and so call them bandits or whatever you may. But if I typically start late, so I'll start at 9 or so, but most people leave at 5 or 6 in the morning. So I spend the entire day riding through, obviously on the side of the roads is just nothing but corn, it seems, but just spend the entire day riding through a sea of cyclists, which is so awesome to see, and just some of the coolest crowds. And I want to say, RAGBRAI is an event that I have done for, probably more than 10 years. When everything in my world happened, right? I think we all know what that is. The first event to call and say, Lance is always welcome, was RAGBRAI. And that call came from TJ. And so, TJ, thank you for that. And thank you to the people in Iowa for always being super cool. Not just the riders, but the vendors and the people at all the municipal golf courses that I show up at. And I'll never forget that. And it's a great event. And so we leave tomorrow. I'm riding 3 days, taking my buddy Dave from Aspen. And we're going to have a good old time. We're going to ride in the mornings. We're going to have a little lunch. And then we'll go find a muni to play golf on and drink some cold beer. And the final day, we're there for 3. The final day, Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski are coming in. So that'll be fun to get a couple of other top-level athletes out there mixing it up. And those guys love to ride. And I'm telling you, like I tell people about RAGBRAI, you can't believe this shit until you see it. Like it is so wacky. So cannot wait. I've started running again. I've had this little psoas problem for a while, and it's just been killing me. So I've been riding more. If you guys follow me on Strava, you probably see that it's mostly rides this time of year, but it's primarily, I guess because we're up here in Aspen and it's great to ride, but psoas has just been bugging the hell out of me. But it seems like it's simmered down, so I've been running more, and it's just been super cute. My kids they love to ride their bikes, so I posted a picture on Instagram last night, and I think we posted it on Facebook too, but it's fun to just go out for a 4 or 5 mile cruise and take your kids with you and just have a little pacer out there along the way. And for kids, I mean, that's cool to, like, those first few months. My son's been riding a bike longer, but Olivia, the youngest, has just really started to figure out riding. And those first few months of riding, it's like you're liberated. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm gonna check this out. Mom, I'm gonna go around the corner and you can't see me, and I might just keep riding. So it's been awesome to take them on runs. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about what I think most people would expect me to talk about, and that's the Tour de France, and which just wrapped up in recent days. Congratulations to Chris Froome. He won his third Tour de France. I must fully confess as well that I don't watch much of it, but just sort of the days that I did watch and picking up stuff via the media, I thought he rode a surprising race in the sense that he won in a way that is probably not how we all would have thought. I don't think he overpowered or rode away from his rivals necessarily in the mountains. He used other opportunities. Obviously, he was good in the time trial. He used days where there was crosswind, right? He used days where he took advantage of getting a gap on a downhill and riding away. And those are all things that I don't think any of us expected. Certainly his rivals didn't expect. And so congratulations to him for being creative and tough and strategically smart. Yeah, I mean, I must confess too that the days that I did watch, I don't know, it maybe it's tough for me to sit and watch and be a spectator, right? Because I lived in that world for so long. But there just we need something. I don't know. We need some. I don't know if it's on the content side or if it's because some of the days are just a little boring. And that's not taking it. I'm not trying to take anything away from the athletes, because those are the ones that I think are the most important. But it just lacked a little. Other than Froome's brilliance and those points I touched on. So. Hey, our guest today is a legend, right? And we people throw around legend, like, oh, he's a legend, oh, it's epic. But this lady, and I know we've had a lot of comments and questions about why we haven't had a female guest, but you're going to get your guest today. And I told her at the end of the podcast, we set the bar very high. I don't know how I can, from a female athlete's perspective, it'd be tough to do or get somebody more iconic. My guest today is Chris Evert, and her record speaks for itself. She's won 18 majors, right? I should say 18 Grand Slams. She's won 6 U.S. Opens, 2 Australian Opens, 3 Wimbledons, and I love this part. She's won 7 French Opens. I knew I liked this one. But then if you get deeper into the stats, I mean, she was the first player to ever have win 1,000 matches. Her winning percentage over the entire course of her career was 900. Imagine if you're any athlete, right? Forget tennis, or I was going to use baseball as an example, but you batted 900. I mean, you would be walking into the Hall of Fame the second you retired. But just super fascinating. I think we all sort of grew up, at least I did in my generation, grew up with her. She was like your sister, like the girl next door. She was so perfect in so many ways, and she spends her summers here in Aspen, Colorado. So super excited about today's podcast. And again, massive thanks to Chris Evert for coming on. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Is it Chris or Chrissy?
It's whatever you feel comfortable with. I think Chrissy is more personable, and Chris is like Chris Evert, the tennis player. So
no, like
whatever.
when you were a kid, I mean, Chrissy because
It was
Chrissy's
Chrissy.
kind of
Younger. Are you saying
right.
it's younger? And
Yeah, and then when people get older, then they're like, no, I'm old and I'm an adult and I'm mature.
I like to feel young, so
you do like to feel young.
I do.
Yeah, well, you look young.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have you ever? And then what is the? How many? I think people are between Chris and Chrissy, and then Evert and Everett. Do you ever? I mean, you must have people call you Chris Everett.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
It's like Wimbledon. It's like when people say Wimbledon, it drives me nuts. It's Wimbledon, D-O-N. And Chris Evert is E-V-E-R-T. Chris Evert, not Everett.
Okay. Did you ever know of the NFL quarterback Jim Everett?
Yes, I knew that whole story.
So you've seen the Jim Rome interview where?
Yeah, was that all staged or were they really serious?
It's funny.
I was kind of immature.
It looked at, and so for the listeners out there, you'd have to go back on YouTube and look up, just type in Jim Everett,
right,
and Jim Rome.
Right.
Obviously it's the first thing that comes up. I have it here is 1 million views of this silly video. So they're having this round or just a discussion around a round coffee table, and he keeps calling him you.
Yeah, that was kind of. He was bugging him
and
needling him.
And you could tell Jim Everett, like that part to me is totally authentic. Like Jim Everett's like nervous, like he wants to fight nervous. But then when the table goes over and they start tumbling around, that looked fake.
I know. I didn't know what that was all about.
So, I mean, I love that.
Yeah, I if it was real, it was really silly. Yeah. But if it was fake, it was, whatever.
But the reason I bring that up is just the whole Evert versus Everett, because I get sucked into that. Like if somebody said, who's on your podcast today? I'd say, yeah, Chris Everett.
Everett or Everett? Everett.
I would probably,
Everett.
I would mess it up.
Yeah. Well, because Everett is a common name. Everett isn't.
And so when did you get back from Wimbledon?
Good
I would probably say, by the way, I love tennis. I actually like to play tennis, but I can't serve, which is neither. I serve underhand.
Why?
Because I can't get it in if I serve it overhand. Like I might try. Right.
But then you haven't had a good coach.
Well, I've never had a coach. I mean.
Yeah. Well, don't laugh.
Okay, so I would try the first because you get 2 tries. You know that.
Correct.
I would serve one overhand, and then if that didn't, I'd just try to force it in there. And if it didn't work, I'd just do a little underhand.
You have no control. You got to put spin on that first serve, and that'll keep it in.
No, but I love tennis. I love it because, we'll get into watching tennis and sort of the arc of that story. If people are, from the American side, what's the interest in tennis?
Mm-hmm.
And the male versus female, because it seems to me now more Americans watch women than they do men's tennis. But I love watching it, and I love playing it because it's hard. Like if you and I went out and played, I would say to you, Chrissy, just make me run side to side as much as possible. Like if I was hitting with somebody, like forget the serves, forget all that stuff, like just destroy me. Like I love that part of it.
You like the running and the working. I always say to women when I go into a gym and I see them on the treadmill or I see them on the Stairmaster, I say, you should just go get a lesson for half an hour and have the teaching pro, just move you side to side. Yep. You'll get your cardio. You'll have fun playing. It's half an hour. It's over. And you get a much better workout. And
then the next day or probably 2 days later, their hips and their shins and all of this stuff, I find that when somebody's really moving you side to side, because I just go forward.
Forward.
Right? By the way, this is called the Forward Podcast. But so I run forward, I ride forward, I swim forward. I mean, it's all these things that are just straight ahead. And tennis, or anything like that. So like 2 days later, you can't get out of bed.
Side to side. You're using a lot of hip and torque. But the thing is, you got to find a clay court to play on. Clay courts are so easy on your body. You slide into the ball. It's not hard. Hard courts are, the joints and the muscles. It's the pounding.
Clay courts. That's like saying, you're in Plano, Texas, and you need to find Alpe d'Huez.
You can I promise you can find a clay court.
I think I'm a member of a tennis club in Austin called Westwood Country Club. And they have a couple clay courts there, but I've never gone on those. I don't know. That just seems a little
wimpy.
Just a little sloppy. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Think of your body. That's why, you know what? I never had an injury in my career. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
I had an 18-year
Because your career now, it would be terrible if you were injured and couldn't commentate.
No,
I mean, like laryngitis
knock on
and
wood.
sore throat.
But I still play tennis, so I don't want to get injured. I don't want to have knee surgery or hip
so you
surgery.
do, and I want to talk about Wimbledon in a second because somebody told me a cool story about your experience there this summer. But so you still play tennis?
Believe it or not, at my old age, I still play tennis. I have a tennis academy down in.
And when is the
Boca
last?
Raton.
Like, did you play tennis yesterday?
I played tennis not yesterday. I played tennis. Well, we're in Aspen now, and my sister Claire lives here, so I play with her girls probably 4 or 5 weeks ago. I go to an indoor Maroon.
You go to Maroon Creek the indoor
and
courts.
I hit indoors.
Clay.
Play on clay. It's clay. Yeah.
And so 4 weeks ago was the last time you played tennis.
The last time I played tennis, and I played with my 16-year-old niece, so it wasn't like it was Martina Navratilova or Steffi Graf out there.
Right.
But it's fun to still do something well.
Yeah.
But
because that would be like me,
it's tough.
like I rode my bike this morning, and I
Yeah.
rode it. I think I rode it. No, I didn't ride it yesterday, but I rode it the day before. So it's interesting to.
When I talked about I mentioned my academy. When I'm down in Florida, I'm down in Florida for like 10 months of the year.
Mhm.
And I do have a tennis academy down there. And I go over about 4 times a week, and I hit with maybe 12 to 14-year-old girls. You know, 10 years ago, I was beating the 18-year-old girls, and every year it gets, younger and younger. But I still love to go out and just I just taunt them.
But these 14-year-olds just smoking it right past you.
They're good,
Right.
but I taunt them because they're so used to pace. Tennis is all about power now, but they don't know finesse. So as soon as I hit a drop shot or hit a little slice shot, they're like, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of, try to wear them down that way.
Right. And of those, this is an international academy.
This is International Academy. Yeah. We've had.
How many, like, for example, how many girls or kids? Is it boys and girls, or is it just
It's boys and girls. We
Okay.
have about 60 boarders full time.
Oh,
They
wow.
live there. We have dorms. We have.
So this
we
is
have
like a bolletary type.
it's a boutique bolletary.
Okay.
It's,
I like that
it's
boutique.
Boutique bolletary, and it's we have an online school there, and then we have a prep school across the street, and these kids come from Russia and India and China and all over the place.
And so they get schooled there, and
Yep, go to school.
Wow.
Yeah, their families entrust us with them, and
they pay to go.
yes, it's like $40,000-$50,000 a year
Right.
to go. And my
Wow.
brother John manages the whole thing, and I come in and hit with them.
Because it's close to
mentor
that. I mean,
them.
you live in
7
Boca,
minutes from my house.
7 minutes. So
7
you're right
minutes,
there.
and I don't know. I mean, we've had it for 20 years, and I think it really, aside from having my children, it's the one other thing that I just have to do. Thank
Right.
God, because I mean, as you know, I mean, when you have career highs, and then you retire, you never feel them. I mean, you feel different things. Having kids is a high, but it's a different kind of high.
Yep.
But that adrenaline rush, aside from having kids, you can't duplicate that
No, I know.
after. So, you got to find something that you have a passion for, and that's one of the things.
Well,
I'm
that
passionate for.
that fills that, whether it's
The void or
competitiveness
something, yeah.
or a void or whatever it is. Yeah, but that's
Becoming alive again.
But this is the problem, and I think you and I are very similar because we both started doing. I mean, obviously, I did it on a much smaller level when I was younger, at 15 years old, doing professional triathlons, and you starting at the same age, but in a much more major sport. But all the while, you're sort of you're surrounded by people that kind of, oh yeah, that was great, yeah, great. Everything's great. Like you could throw a rock at a cart and be like, oh,
Yeah.
you just hit the front of it when you said you'd hit the back. It's like, no. So
Nobody called you on your stuff.
Right.
As long as you were winning and you become a little entitled. Some people become very entitled, but some people become a little entitled, whatever. Enabled. People enable you around you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's and when you grow up that way, it's and then after your career, it's like I think it hits you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? You're just like everybody else. So
Oh no, I mean you look at look
get
at the
on with it.
examples and stories of athletes that retire, either through injury or just old age, or it's tough. It's tough to,
Yeah.
On every level, right? Income goes from 10 to 1, and the weight to get a table goes from 1 to 10, and so it's just everything. These are stupid examples, but it's that transition, and you can't prepare. I mean, we could argue that you've done a fabulous job of doing that, and we could argue that my situation is just so completely different because it's just super fucked up and weird, or not. But
you know what though? You have kids, you have family, and boy, that helped me after I retired.
Yeah.
Is that I went from being number one in the world and having those highs to, meeting a great guy, Andy Mill, and having 3 children, and that brought, I don't know if the tennis brought joy as much as having kids brought joy to my life. And even with your situation, you still had Anna, you had your family, your kids to fall back on.
Yep.
And have that support. And a lot of people retire and they have nothing. They have no relationships. And I just feel like that really saved me having a good family.
Yeah. And your boys were all, you have 3 boys.
3 boys.
You have Nikki, Alex,
and Colton.
And they were all into sports. Yeah,
Colton. Yeah. Colton's like Andy. Colton's like Andy.
So for you guys listening, so Andy, just in the vein of full transparency here, I know Chrissy kind of sort of well. Chrissy's former husband, who you guys were married for close to 20 years, right?
Yes, we were.
Is one of my closest friends, and Andy was an Olympic skier, and he's an outdoorsman, he's a hunter, he's a fisherman, he's a scratch golfer. He's like a man's man.
He's a guy's guy.
He's a guy's guy. Like and I don't need to tell you this, but like my better half Anna or Sheriff DeSalvo's wife Marcy, like they love Andy. Like they think that Andy, that they say to us, why can't you guys be like Andy? And so now I get to say, you guys should call Chrissy.
I think I love Andy. I love him to death. I think he's a great guy.
I don't know. Have a cool relationship. We play golf 3 or 4 days a week. I'm still talking about Andy. And your name comes up every time.
Yeah, we
and the boys come up, and Nikki's your middle son. He plays with us. He's a great golfer, a great athlete.
Nikki loves you, boy.
Yeah, he's just a good kid.
He's a good kid.
He's like Andy Jr. though. He's
got it all together.
Yeah,
the adventurous. All 3 boys are completely different, and they all have. They're like both of us, but Andy and I are we're still a family. Without living together. I think that's the best way to put it.
Right.
We had a rough couple years.
But of course you would.
We had a rough couple of years because I married Greg Norman, who is Andy's friend. And that was, I don't know. I was going through menopausal stuff that, that doesn't get talked about enough. What women go through, at 50-ish. But we got back together as a family, and we still do things, and he's like you said, he's a great guy. He's been a great father to my boys because, like you said, he's taken them fishing and hunting and motorcycles and golf and tennis, introduced them to so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kristen and I, like you just said, I mean, when you split up with children for whatever the circumstances behind the split were, it's tough, right? Nobody breaks up or splits up or gets a divorce and is like a week later going, okay, when's family dinner? Like it's more like, no, fuck you, no, fuck you, no, fuck you, and fights over this and time and possession and kids and money and phone call,
and
whatever.
But feelings, it can be a couple years.
Yeah, and so we've gotten to this place, Kristen, well, I should say it's sort of we're like 3 parents, between me and Anna and Kristen. And it is such a cool place. Like we do stuff together. We do family dinners. I mean, there are nights where our littlest ones will spend the night at her house. Like, how weird is that?
No, that's
like
it's not common.
We're
wonderful.
We're at one of Luke's games, and one of the little ones wants to go over. I mean, it's just it's great.
It's come back to the friendship and the caring.
And the way
doesn't-
Andy talks about you, I mean, it's, and I'm not BSing you. Like it's, I think he feels that way.
You know, he'll be, I mean, when I'm in my dying bed, he'll be there. And when I'll be there for him and he'll be there for me. And he, if I didn't feel well, if I was having an anxiety attack or I felt like I was having a heart attack, I mean, he would be the first one I would call. Andy, get over here right now.
Right.
You know, we love each other and I can rely on him. But, you know, as you know, sometimes over 15, 18, 20 years, you grow apart. One may evolve a little bit quicker than the other. For whatever reasons, you got to be on top of your relationship the whole time. And I've learned that. Yeah. You know, as soon as you feel like you're drifting away, you get back there. If it means marriage counseling or whatever it means, you get back together. And I agree. I've learned it the hard way.
The ship's passing in the night is just not but you do, we're getting a little heavy, but I mean, you do sense when that starts to happen. And I think so many people would think, oh, this is a phase and we'll figure it out. And then the next thing you know, it just gets too far. And then you're like, oh shit.
Can't get it back.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to, we got super off track, but I wanted to talk about Wimbledon. Yeah. Because, and the only reason, this is a good segue, the only reason I know this is because Andy told me, because Nikki, one of your sons, was, I guess, how many of your sons go to Wimbledon every summer?
Well, usually Alex
goes
the first week, and then Nikki comes the second week.
Yeah. So Nikki's there, and so Andy and I are out playing golf, and Andy says to me, he says, guess where Chrissy is? I said, well, I don't know. She's at Wimbledon. He says, yeah. He goes, she's having lunch with Kate and William. I'm like, what? Like,
that's not what he said. You said.
What did I say?
He said you said Kate's hot.
Oh well, I mean, every day.
Love it. I loved it.
What is he busting me on all my shit? I mean, well.
Anyway, go ahead.
And and it's Anna listens to all these podcasts, so sorry. I have to be. No, I mean,
somebody's hot.
You're not gonna say she's not hot. I mean, she is hot. So I was like, but I was thinking more for like, what is Nikki thinking? Nikki's like, oh my god, this girl's super hot. But so how does that, like, is that like tea, or were you guys having lunch?
Yeah, we sat in the royal box. There's one day during the tournament that I get invited into the royal box with a guest, and I brought Nikki the last 2 days, and this year it was the men's final. Kate and Will come to the men's final. We go to the final. Then we're sitting down for tea, and let me tell you, there's Bradley Cooper's there, Bjorn Borg, Boris Becker. I mean, there's some big names there, and the president of the All England Club came up to me and said, would you and Nikki like to sit and have tea with Kate and Will? And we go, yeah. So anyway, it was just the four of us. We sat, we had tea, and Will couldn't have been more engaging. I mean, I got along really well because he wanted to know everything about tennis and about the Olympics and about equal prize money for women. And he wanted to know, I had tea with his mom a couple times when I was playing. She would always come out. Diana would always come out. He wanted to know stories about that. Yes, she would. And then, so Kate was over there, and Kate looks at Nikki and says, so do you play tennis? And Nikki said he went to say something and nothing came out. He said, I was so intimidated. I didn't know what to say.
I can't wait to give him some shit about that.
And I looked over at him. His face was red, and you
have to dress up. I mean, is there like protocol? Do they make you?
Yeah, you wear a dress. The guys have to wear a coat and tie.
But they tell you beforehand. Like,
and you can't. By the way, if they're sitting in the royal box, you are not allowed to get up to go to the bathroom until they get up. So you have to say, yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to be. You really have to go.
And you have to stay there. You have to stay there. To stay there.
And the Queen doesn't come around.
Yeah, the Queen's not a tennis fan. And Prince Charles is not a tennis fan. It was basically Diana. And I think Kate has carried on that tradition because she's a tennis player too.
Huh. And you bring up equal prize money, or Prince William brought up fair, or what are the equal prize money. Yeah. And I think it's not equal now. Or is it equal?
It is equal in majors, in Grand Slams, and in major tournaments.
When did that start?
Well, U.S. Open in America in the 70s.
Oh, really?
But then it took like it really took like 20 years after that to get the French Open and Wimbledon and Australian Open to also be equal prize money. But the U.S. was the crusader there.
And I think
Go U.S.
Go USA. And I think that what really set the tone there was your appearance on Saturday Night Live. I think that's what did it.
For equal prize money?
Yes. Because on the skit, and again, to your listeners, you have to go on YouTube or however you find Saturday Night Live.
Actually.
But the Lothar the Hills skit with Mike Myers and John Ovitz, and you talked about, and there are these, now I watched all this stuff because I knew you were coming over, but Mike Myers is like the head of this little fiefdom of this. He's like,
are you really going to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because this is good for you. They're all like cavemen, and you're a cave woman, and they're talking about their little tribes and fiefdoms, and you came out and you were the first like head of a tribe or head of a fiefdom, and you talked about equality and fairness, and don't you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
So that had to have done it. You were ahead of the curve.
I talked about something else, but
by the way too, because I did Saturday Night Live, and that is one of the hardest things. Like that, like I've done some scary shit and some stuff that makes me nervous. Stepping through those doors for the monologue was that was
brutal.
The most frightened I have ever been. But then the acting part,
how much fun was it that week? Did you have a ball? I had a ball.
But I wish I could do it all over. It's just hard, it's a short week. They kind of just jam it down your throat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have nothing on Monday,
right,
and then they have a complete show on Saturday.
Yeah, and then you sit down and they read through things, and they go, and it's kind of like, you ready? Like I was like, wait, where's the acting coach?
And you got to read the cue cards.
The cue cards.
And
you're
right
like,
there,
people are going to see me reading the cue cards. Like I'm going to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But your acting I thought was good.
Yeah, I was fine. I really felt comfortable. I had I don't know who you had. I had John Lovitz and Mike Myers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had a good group. Did you see the skit with Martina? Because if you guys YouTube Saturday Night Live, you got to watch the skit with Martina and I, because I'm trying to outdo her in everything, and she ends up outdoing me.
That's reality.
Yeah, competitiveness. But
did you ever train with her? Like
I did the first time.
Obviously, you played against.
I tell you what,
that was your biggest rivalry.
She's the reason why I'm here in Aspen. She's the reason why I met Andy, because she at that time was with Judy Nelson, and she kept inviting me to Aspen. And I'd never been to a ski resort. I'd never skied. I was about 31, 32 years old. Finally, I said, okay, fine. Okay, stop bugging me. I'll come. So I came to Aspen. Okay. I went to Aspen.
Wait, so what year is this again?
This is about 85 or 86.
Okay. You should have bought a lot of property then.
Oh, God, I can't even believe it. So this is why I had to marry Andy, because basically Andy took us the first day I was ever on Aspen Mountain. He took one look at me and knew that I was the worst skier ever. And all I did was snowplow and bend over, and it was ugly to watch. And he told Martina, he goes, Martina, I'll ski with you guys later. I got to go down the hill with Chrissy. And he skied backwards down the whole Aspen Mountain.
What a bunch of bullshit. I mean, that's...
And so we got to the bottom.
Smooth.
No, listen to this. So we got to the bottom, and I said to him, so do you want to go watch me practice at the Aspen Club? And he goes, yeah. So for like 10 days, we skied in the morning, and then, he'd watch me play tennis in the afternoon, and that was the start of our romance.
And you would practice with Martina?
Yeah. Okay. So you asked me about training with Martina.
I mean, really, not an exhibition, not...
Oh, no, we train hard. No, we would ski... This is Martina. We'd ski from like 9 to 1. Then we'd play tennis from 3 to 5, like hardcore tennis, 3 to 5. And then we'd go in the gym from like 5 to 6:30. And I would be ready for the stretcher. And then she'd go off and play basketball for another hour. Yeah. So, I mean, she was, she's just one of those phenomenal athletes. And I saw a picture of her when she was like 8 years old, and she was built like a little boy. I mean, she had all the muscles in the shoulders and the thighs, and she just
she was yoked
was
up.
Built very special.
Yeah. Yeah, you see people like that, and then, there were, I mean, not to cross over into too much weird stuff that's my stuff, but I mean, there was always those whispers of her, but if you have this, like you're saying, if you see her at 8 years old, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
this person is a specimen. Like,
she was a specimen.
yeah.
But in my day, if you were to ask me, do you think that players, that there was performance enhancing drugs during my day? I would say probably.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have testing.
No.
Well, so no testing.
Doesn't matter.
No
Doesn't
testing
matter.
or tests that don't work equal yes.
Yeah.
In
I can't. I have nothing to gripe about. There's no testing and no, that's it is what it is.
Yeah. So and so at the Aspen Club, like that weirdo bubbly tennis court, that's where y'all would practice?
Yes.
Like I've played there.
Yes.
Oh,
fast. It's fast.
But
and
that's just such a depressing. I guess it was that
no,
the
no,
only
no, no.
place.
There's a bubble, but 30, 40 years ago, there were also two indoor courts that were really good, where the gym is now.
Right.
Those are all indoor courts.
And that's all gone now.
It's all gone now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have great memories of that, though.
Well, they're going to build some condos there.
I know. I know.
Well, but I don't know. I mean, if you're the owner of the gym and you've got these tennis courts here and you're in Aspen, Colorado, and you could put,
But,
$3
yeah.
$8 million condos.
No, it's much better for
people
business.
People can go play tennis somewhere else is what he's thinking, right?
Yeah. No, it's better for business for sure. It's going to make more money that way.
How good is Serena Williams? I mean, obviously she wins a lot.
Unbelievable.
She's
unbelievable. She's unbelievable. Have you ever met her
Yeah.
or seen her in real life?
Yeah, I know her a little bit. And she always, it's a funny story. I was at a Los Angeles Lakers game a long time ago when I was dating Cheryl, and she came and somebody gave us some seats and she came walking, and I don't know why, but I just had this, I was like, it's not that I didn't really dig her. It's just, I don't know, just something was off. And I was like,
But that was a while ago.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. And they were, I mean, back there, she's a lot more likable now than she was then. I mean, that whole scene with her and her sister and her father, it was just in the way
isolation.
they were jerks to a lot of people, which,
Yeah.
Again, far be it for me to talk about. But so we're sitting there and I see her coming and you can't miss her. I see her coming in and I'm like, oh God, here comes Serena. And she's like, what's up? And I was like, and Serena she sees me and just beeline straight over to me like, what's up, Lance? And I was like, oh, I'm such a dick.
Okay.
And I've only been around her a few more times since then.
Serena Williams, it's clear. Serena Williams is a good friend of mine, and I've developed a good relationship with her the last few years. And she is one of the few players that has reached out to me as a former player.
Mm-hmm.
These players, they don't reach out to former champions and for advice or for anything. But she and I have a good relationship. She's very personable. When she's so strong, I've seen her. They have dance competitions, she and her sister, and I've gone. And she should be in Cirque du Soleil. She is that flexible. The round rings.
Yep.
She gets in those rings and she does contortion with the legs over the head that you would never imagine a tennis player to do. I mean, these are professional. She would be a professional dancer. She's strong. Her butt and her hamstrings are so strong.
She does all. I
trains
look at her,
hard.
She does all these not naked, but these these body issues in her
Lately, especially lately.
I'm like,
just
whoa.
to accept, to love your body because for a long time it's been about models and it's been about skin.
And I don't know how much longer you probably have a better sense than anybody else, but how much longer she'll play. But whenever she stops playing, I mean, as a black woman in America, she will have a platform if she wants it. And I mean,
I
and
agree.
Managed right. I mean, you talk about,
agree.
she can affect real change.
You know what?
And that's again, going back 10, 15 years ago, they would have thought these kids are punks.
Yeah.
And the stories of my friend Sally Jenkins would interview them and they would sit there and turn the pages of Vogue and be like, huh, what was the question again?
No, I know.
And just completely just not but I think that's
you know what I say to Serena? I go, Serena, I always say this, I go, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
You have no idea the power that you have and what you can do to change the world. And
bet
it's
she
very
doesn't
much
know.
like Arthur Ashe had. I said, you could be the Arthur Ashe, Nelson Mandela. You could, she and her sister do go over to Africa and they have set up some schools.
Mm-hmm.
So they're starting to do some things, but girls will listen to her.
Yeah.
No matter what color they are.
Yeah. No, she's got it all going on. She's
Yeah.
got the sports. She's got the fashion side. She's got
the movie star.
Yeah,
She's in movies.
Which she's like probably chilling with Drake or
Oh,
something.
well, she has chilled with Drake.
He
was at Wimbledon last year.
Whatever. She can chill with whoever she wants to.
Anybody she wants to.
Yeah. Just like you chilled with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, like 80 years ago.
I told you we had to talk a little bit about
why? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
He was the
He's
man.
He's a nice
Bandit.
guy. I was 21 and I was like pretty much in awe of him at that time. But
okay, we don't have to talk about it because I want to talk about Serena more. Is she? So we'll you see you got saved.
Okay, Serena, she can be hot or cold too.
But is she the best of all time?
She's the best of all time.
How many majors, they call them, how many Grand Slams has she won?
22. She's
22.
Matched Steffi Graf.
And
Steffi Graf
has
was
the most.
great athlete also. So Steffi has 22, Serena has 22. The beauty of it is Serena's won 8. She's won 8 after she's been 30 years old. So, I mean, to me, she's played her best. She saved her best tennis for over 30 years old. Okay.
So she can break the record at the U.S. Open.
Oh, yeah.
And
and remember, we have 4 Grand Slams a year.
Right.
This girl Margaret Court has 24, I believe, 24? Yeah.
Oh, I thought
24.
Steffi Graf had the most.
Margaret Court is 24, but some of them were before open tennis. So Steffi Graf has 22 in open tennis.
So Wimbledon was just like a neighborhood tournament?
It was an amateur. Before we only started getting prize money in the 70s.
Huh.
Everything else was amateur. When
and
I was
Margaret
brought
Court
up,
was the first person. She was the #1 player in the world, and you just turned pro and you came out and smoked her.
When I was 15, but
what
she was
a name!
At the end.
You play tennis and your name is Margaret Court.
Court.
Like who makes that shit up? That's pretty good. That's like my name is Lance Wheel. Like
I know. Yeah, that's true. But she was at the end of her career, so I got to give her, defend her there. But yeah, Serena.
So she just needs two more.
Serena's serve is like 125 miles per hour, and her serve is as hard as most men's serves.
And men serve the same speed, or
yeah. I mean, the majority. I think maybe there's been 130, 127, 130. No. But
and what did you serve it?
Okay, first of all,
the racket
we didn't have
was
those
the size of an orange.
We had different equipment. Okay, and we had different strings and we didn't have those guns those speed guns either. We didn't have those, but my serve probably would have been 50 or 60 miles per hour.
Are you kidding me?
No, I mean maybe. Okay, in our day, Martina would serve 100 miles an hour
with the inferior equipment.
We had graphite in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. We had graphite rackets. So they started to get more like 100 miles per hour. But my serve was the worst part of my game. So maybe I would be lucky to serve 80 miles per hour.
Wow. That's amazing. I find if I were to, if the U.S. Open was on, for example, and I had a choice between the men's final and the women's final, and say Serena was in, if it was like the Belarusian and the Italian girl, I probably wouldn't watch it. If Serena was in it, I would watch it. The men's final, I don't care who's in it. I couldn't once we left this era, and maybe it's just because I'm a patriot.
Americans, yeah.
Once we Sampras and first you had obviously the McEnroes and the Jimmy Connors,
right,
et cetera, and then you go to Sampras and Agassi and Chang and Courier and
right.
And then a little bit of Roddick, and then
you tuned out a little bit.
Tuned out. I wonder.
But then it went. But Roger Federer was huge. Roger Federer was huge. I mean, he is the most beloved tennis player out there in the world.
I went to the U.S. Open final. This must have been it was Agassi and Federer. And it was the one where Agassi had the back thing and he had to go in and get some medical attention or something. This must have been in 2006, I'm guessing.
Okay.
2006, 2007. But it was, I'd never been to a big time tennis match. And so I was there and it was close for a while. And then you just saw, it was almost like somebody just tapped Roger Federer on the shoulders like, dude, we got to go to a early dinner. Can you get going? And it was instantaneous. It was like I don't know what happened. And I don't know if Andre just lost it or if Federer just said, okay, I'm sick of this shit. We're gonna end this, right?
Okay, it was at probably Andre's. It was at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Probably he was like tired and mentally and emotionally
Well, and
tired.
he had the bad back. He had he was going in for the doctors, all these things. But
Roger Federer's the most naturally talented. And then when you look at Nadal was a workhorse. I mean, Nadal. I mean, that's why he's out of the game right now. He just the way he has to train.
Right.
You know, it's grueling. It's more grueling.
Like Tiger Woods.
And Djokovic is right in the middle. Djokovic is calm and smooth, and he doesn't have any weaknesses, and you know he's got it all going for him.
And Andy Murray and
Andy Murray, I love Andy Murray. I love Andy Murray.
He looks like a very likable.
Yeah, he is. I love him. I was so happy that actually he won Wimbledon. But the men have a lot of competition at the top, and in the women's it's Serena, and then there's a gap. She's so much better.
If you said to me, Lance, name me three. You had Serena and Venus. If you said name three more, I mean, I would say Anna Kournikova. I'm such an idiot. I would. I mean, how's
okay?
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I would say you. I would say I would go back to the old names.
What about Maria? You'd probably say Maria.
I'd say Maria.
Sharapova. She's a big name.
I'd say Tracy Austin. I'd say Andrea Jaeger because I just think that whole story. I can't even. That's a whole nother podcast. But Andrea Jaeger was played with you or against you and is from spent some time in Aspen and I've done a bunch of stuff with her through other charities. But anyways, that was just background for the audience.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. But I wouldn't know any current
Billie Jean King.
Well, that's
Jean, she's
but
not
I mean,
current.
This,
right.
I wouldn't again.
So if I were to say to you, name two players in the top 10 besides Serena, who would you say?
I'd have to give it a goog.
Because
that means Google something.
Kerber, Angelique Kerber.
No.
Muguruza.
Nope.
Muguruza. She won the French.
No.
Okay.
Keep going.
Radwanska.
No.
Azarenka's expecting a child.
Who's the other cute one that was engaged to Rory McIlroy?
Oh, Caroline Wozniacki.
Okay, I would know that name.
You like the looks. You like the good looking ones.
Who are you to talk? Sorry. If you guys saw the face that I was just given, it would make this entire hour worth your time. But no. Anyways,
got me back on that one.
I want to ask a question about Serena because you talked about the academy. Like, can you get her to come to the academy? Like, if she's in Florida, will she go hit around with the girls?
No, I haven't asked her to.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I haven't asked her to.
That's a big ask.
You know what? I ask her once a year to play in my charity event, and I'm hoping this. Something always comes up, but yeah, you got to ask. You got to.
And I heard you're trying to get Jimmy Buffett to come play it.
I've asked Jimmy Buffett every year for 20 years.
I heard that.
But I understand. But it's like if he's down in Florida.
I think he's close.
Okay.
I think he's close.
I hear that every year.
Nope. Mike Ramos, who loves
yes.
Mike Ramos has been Jimmy's tour manager for 27 or 28 years. He loves tennis.
Yep.
He tweaked his hamstring the other day playing tennis, so he couldn't go work out with me.
Yeah.
He told me the whole story that you have asked for 20 years. So
yeah.
Jimmy, if you're listening, which you're probably not, we're calling you out. You live right down the road.
Yeah, you do, babe.
I mean, what else? But Mike says he's just going to make him. So
he's got to do it.
I'm just sneaking you a little.
Okay, Andy Mill can go fishing with him. We'll have to set up a deal. We'll just have to. I'll give him tennis lessons. Andy can fish with him. Just to kind of bribe him a little bit. That would be nice.
Jimmy Buffett can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
I mean, but anyways, back to my point about going back to just watching tennis is I just miss that era that we had as Americans, and you don't see. Like the media sometimes will hype somebody where
you'll see the personality maybe on the court
was
too,
it Donald
right?
Young, a young American kid?
Yes.
Him, and then even with Roddick. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Roddick was a great player.
Personality.
Yep.
He was.
And then you have not Marty. What's the other one?
Well, there's Marty Fish.
Marty Fish.
God, don't ask me a lot. Who?
But
Sam Querrey.
No.
No.
Who's the big tall one?
Oh, John Isner.
John Isner.
Yeah.
But you don't have these. Like I want Sampras. I want McEnroe.
Or you want personalities, or you want Ilie Nastase, and Jimmy Connors, and Matt McEnroe. And,
are we ever going to have? I mean,
I don't know.
Because in America, like I have kids. Like none of my 5 kids would go.
They want to play tennis.
They don't.
But do they all do team sports? See, kids get success at a young age from team sports. You get on a team, you're with your best friends, you got smaller soccer fields, you got lower baskets and basketball. You can have early success. In tennis, it's hard to have that success at an early age. It's hard to have a rally when you're 6, 7 years old.
Right.
You know?
Well, look at what you said. I mean, whether they go to your academy or they go to Bollettieri or they go to, I don't know what the other great ones are. I mean, these are serious commitments for parents, both just
it is
sending their kids away and paying for that.
And you know what? Not every kid is cut out for an individual sport. I really feel, I see some tennis players at our academy and they continue to get frustrated. And I'm like, I want to tell their parents, do you think they should be in a team sport where they can get that camaraderie and that support?
They can play doubles.
Or they can play doubles, yeah. But not everybody. It's pretty intense, this sport of tennis.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you asked about Serena, and I would ask you, because I remember, I think every 10 years, the standard, in tennis anyway, the standard improves. And yes, it is the equipment, and yes, it is the training techniques. Yeah. Tennis players in my day, we didn't train like Olympic athletes. Yep. Tennis players nowadays train like Olympic athletes. The science, the technology. And
well, you just told us that you would spend the first entire part of the day going skiing, and like Roger Federer would never do that.
Okay, this was
he trains. This is the argument I always made to Roddick, because I'm friends with him, and he would be like out on Lake Austin with his buddies, or would be at home playing Xbox. I'm like, dude, do you think Roger Federer is on Lake Austin with dudes and chicks and cruising around? No.
When I trained that way with Martine, I was 32 years old.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in the beginning when I came up in teens, 20s.
All-day tennis.
No, it wasn't all-day tennis. It wasn't. We would maybe, I'd practice 2 hours a day and then maybe go to the gym for an hour. And that was it. That was the training in the 70s. Nowadays, it's an 8-hour deal.
Wow.
Because you've got professionals that stretch you out.
Right.
Then you go out and practice, and then you have dietitians that tell you what to eat, and then you go practice again. Then you go to the gym. Then you have physios who are going to give you massages, and then you have your coach who's going to talk to you about the match the next day. It's like 8 to 10 hour day. It's a big business, but they're making a lot more money than we did.
And you can't get coached during a match.
In women's tennis, you can get coached once. A coach can come out once a set, not in the Grand Slams, but in all the WTA tournaments. We have adapted that. Once
can
a
come
set,
out and
a
talk to
coach
you
can
while you're
come out.
sitting.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The men have chosen not to do that.
And what about like hand signals or like pulling on your?
Oh, everybody's doing that.
There's got to be
everybody's
some,
doing, and they're clapping.
The tip of the cap, right?
Yeah. Or little things like clapping and going, okay, move your feet, Venus, or so ball toss higher, they can do that.
That's / encouragement. Huh.
Yeah.
And I know you commented on this, and again, some of this stuff just crosses eerily close to my whole arc, but and not to keep, this would be another tennis player that I would know. Maria Sharapova.
Mm-hmm.
What a mess, I think. I have way too many opinions about that story, and about meldonium, and about
the Russian.
the
The
Russian thing. It's meldonium. Well, they're almost two separate stories. Meldonium is a substance that was allegedly performance enhancing, which a lot of their athletes got caught for.
Right.
I get tripped up because nobody's proven scientifically that that's a performance enhancer. It's on the list, but I could say that Fiji water's on the list. If you don't prove it's a PED, why is it on the list? There's no data, or there's no evidence to suggest or prove that meldonium. It might fall under one category, allegedly. But where's the study that says, and again, this is super controversial, I see you not liking what I'm saying, but they've never proven that that's a PED. So I almost feel for her, which would mean I feel for a lot of the other. Listen, if she was caught for EPO or testosterone or something that I know is a PED, well, that's a different story, right? But this is not. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's sad for her. I
Why
think it's
did they
sad.
give it to so many athletes? Why did they give it to the Russian army? Why did they? I mean, it is definitely helps your heart rate.
Right.
They're saying, and then it definitely. The thing is with Maria is that I understand what you're saying, and I've heard a lot of people say that, but at the same time, she kind of sent some mixed signals. I don't want to say she lied, but she sent some mixed signals when she said, I've taken it my whole life since I've been, 16 years old. The doctor, because I have, diabetes in my family. Well, what about Sharapova? I mean, she's endorsing this. She's endorsing candy.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of a little
Right.
conflict of interest. And then she said, and then it was proven that she took it before every single Grand Slam match that she's played.
Right.
Right? Why is she doing that
Right.
if it doesn't help her?
Well.
And then when it was banned, whether it is or it isn't, when a substance is banned, you can't be taking it, right? I mean, you can't be taking.
But then I think she or they tried to prove, or somebody did prove, that it stays in the system long enough. So if we ban that drug,
No, but she admitted that she took it before the Australian Open. She admitted she took it before the matches. Yeah. Oh, it had been banned.
Yeah. And
January 1st. And
Wow.
she, that's the thing. It's almost like if she hadn't admitted, she kind of ruined it for herself, because if she hadn't admitted, yes, I took it, in my 5 matches at the Australian Open, but she said that she did.
Wow. And will she ever play again?
She's appealed it.
Okay, so
it's going to be September, October.
Mhm.
It's hard to. 2 years is a long time for a 29-year-old. She'll be 31 if she comes back.
And she was already
starting to slip in the rankings,
Right.
no doubt. Younger players are starting to kind of beat her. But I tell you what, there's never been a competitor. She's an unbelievable competitor and fighter, and I just have to give her. I always give her a lot of credit.
But
when she's playing.
I read in one interview where you said that, because anytime you have a situation like, whether it's my story or her story or anybody else, I mean, your ultimate surrogates are your peers. I mean, the media is not going to be your surrogate, and your mom can't be your surrogate, and your coach can't be your surrogate. The people you play with and compete against every day have to be, those are the best surrogates, the best advocates you could possibly have.
Uh-huh.
And in one of the interviews you gave, you said that she really doesn't have that, because she was not part of that sorority or that sort of sisterhood. Which, and again, I don't know how much you guys hang out or don't hang out, or I wouldn't know what a locker room looks like at
She doesn't have any. She has voiced it, and she does not have any friends on the circuit, and she doesn't talk to the girls in the locker room.
So she just rolls in, and it's like,
it's pretty isolated.
See you out there.
It's pretty isolated.
Cool.
And you know what? Serena, Wozniacki, Azarenka, Radwanska, Kerber, they're all friends. They're friendly. They're not going to go out to dinner together, but they're friends and they're friendly.
Yeah.
And I've
like
heard
you and Martina
so many times that, Maria just really doesn't want to have anything to do with the women tennis players. So consequently, she hasn't gotten a lot of support from them.
Right. But those would have been the strongest people to get your back. If in her situation.
You know what? I got to tell you one quick story. Wimbledon 76. I had this theory also that I couldn't get close to the players, because then when I played them, I'd get too emotional. I didn't really have a lot of friends on the tour. Wimbledon 76. I win Wimbledon. Best feeling in the world. I go home to an empty hotel room. It's just me. And I lay down on the floor, and I was depressed. And I realized, I was depressed. I didn't have anybody to share it with. I realized that alone does not make one happy. Right. And after that depressive moment, I made an effort to have friends on the tour, to hang out, to go out to dinner with Billie Jean, to hang out with Martina, to play doubles with Rosie Casals. I made an effort, and I really found that camaraderie got me through a lot of tough times in my life.
So in '76 in Wimbledon, I mean, where was didn't you have like a coach or a trainer or a friend
Nope.
or a mom or, I mean,
My mom was with me. My mom was in the next room, but
but that's not your idea of
no,
going
I
out
had
and
no
tearing it up.
coach, no boyfriend, no girlfriends. It was I felt really alone and isolated, and that was everybody has these defining moments in their life, and that was when I realized that Chrissy, you got to become a person, and you got to give.
Right.
You got to give.
Right. Wow. And just two more things before I let you go. And again, I just learned all this stuff from reading it, or it could be total BS. I don't know, but I found this fascinating that in like modern vernacular, the tennis bracelet is something that people identify, and if a woman gets a tennis bracelet, they see it as it is what it is. It's like saying it's I don't know, but the true story behind the tennis bracelet originates with you. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
That you lost. I think I'm probably
My
butchering
bracelet. My bracelet
bracelet fell off.
broke on center court at the U.S. Open,
U.S. Open,
and I think it was a
and,
it had
and,
some
and,
diamonds
and
in
at that
it.
time the court was green,
Yes,
because now it's
yes, the court was green.
and now it's blue.
And they had the camera.
needs to go back
and
to
I was
being green.
looking for my bracelet. They had the camera on the bracelet, and some commentator said Chrissy lost her tennis bracelet, and then it was dubbed the tennis bracelet. And by the way, I never got any free tennis bracelets because of that.
Well,
I never got anything out of
You're
that.
the godmother of all tennis bracelets.
I know. Nobody. We went to companies like years later and said, "Do you want it?" And it was like they were already established as tennis bracelets.
Yeah, but if that happened today,
I could have made a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, we all.
There's so much money out there in sports. Oh my gosh. But I'm so glad I came up in the '70s because that's when it all started.
In '76, when you won Wimbledon, what did you get paid? What was like first place?
Oh, maybe under 100,000.
Oh my God! And now it's
maybe 100,000, and now it's 3 million. It's 3 million.
So Serena got
U.S. Open is 3.5 million this year.
Men and women.
Yeah, equal.
God.
3.5 million. So 100,000. But you know what? 100,000 30 years ago.
Yeah, you thought it was 3.5 million.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
You're like, I am loaded.
Yeah.
You're still loaded. What are you worried about?
Not like they are today.
Doesn't matter.
I have no complaints.
I saw you roll up in your Range Rover.
That's my sister Claire's car.
Oh.
I'm staying with her.
You're staying with, I thought don't you rent a place here?
I do, but I'm staying 2 nights and then I go on to Toronto to do my ESPN gig. And then I'm here for 3 weeks and I have my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
How great is Aspen? You love it, right?
I love it.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's I love the summer. I
do too.
Like we were talking about skiing and Andy and
you can say how bad of a skier I am.
Yeah, but I'm not as bad as you described.
Okay.
But I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And Anna loves to board and
Oh,
she takes the kids
God bless
skiing
her.
and she's obsessed with getting the kids in ski school, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But I tell you, if you say, "Hey, Lance, let's go skiing at spring break," I go, "No."
No, I haven't skied in 8 years. I mean, I skied because Andy was a downhill Olympic skier.
You know the problem with skiing? Well, there's a lot of problems. Well, not a lot of problems, but the boots are the problem. Like if somebody said, "Here is the perfect," like your feet will never, A, most importantly, they'll never hurt, and then B, they'll never get cold. You'd almost start, but here, that means people have skied for 100 years, and you can't make a boot that doesn't hurt.
That's not flexible. They're so stiff. And look what we're used to wearing though. What kind of shoes in our profession? They're not boots. They're just
cycling shoes. They're
tight. They're tight.
They're tight. Okay, final thing, and I this is because I was just in researching you. I wanted to talk just for a second about your dad because it was so for two reasons. One, he seemed awfully important to you, which I think is right.
Yeah.
And he just passed.
Yep.
6 months.
August. Yeah.
A
year ago. Yeah.
At 91.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you said, "Lance, here's your guarantee to get to 91," I got both hands signing.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
But in tennis, it just seems like you have, especially on the women's. Well, I guess Andre had the same thing. I mean, Andre Agassi had the same thing. You have these real dominant father figures.
Parents, yeah.
whether it's the Williams sisters or whether it's Steffi Graf,
yeah.
or your father, or I don't know what Martina's dad was like, but he was a great player, your dad.
Yep.
And you, at the age of 5, you're just like
Yeah.
trying to whack it around.
Yeah. I was really upset though, because I was in kindergarten, and every day after school I would go over to my girlfriend's house and have barbecues and go swimming. And then all of a sudden my dad started picking me up at kindergarten and taking me to Holiday Park and feeding balls out of a shopping cart. So at the beginning I was bitter and resentful, but my dad was really all about, discipline, and I kind of feared him a little bit. Even though he was never abusive ever, physically or mentally, emotionally. He was the best tennis parent ever. But it was like black or white growing up in that era. It was, you do it his way or else, you get sent to your room for the rest of the night. So I played tennis for him for a while until I probably was in my teenage years. And then I started to play more for myself.
You got that $100,000 at Wimbledon.
He was always, he was always my incentive, and he was always my coach, and he was the one that told me, don't show emotion because it'll be an advantage to your opponent. And that's the way I played. And that's the way I played. And I won.
Ice maiden.
But I had to be that way on the court to win, to focus.
But you loved playing.
Yes, I love playing. I don't have any. Yeah, I love.
That's what
playing.
bothered me about
Andre.
Yeah,
I don't understand that at all.
I didn't. I grew up just loving his game and watching him and the arc of that whole story between just all of it. And then at the end, he says, I never liked any of this. I hated tennis. Or
I think he used the word hate.
He said, I hate playing tennis. I thought, well, shit, that's kind of a buzzkill. Like, we all dug it for you and for us and for for all of us. I mean, that was heavy. I thought to myself, because just being an athlete, I loved cycling. I didn't necessarily like being around a bunch of people and having to go race.
But it was your choice.
I loved of course.
But I don't think the only reason I can think of it wasn't he was forced into the game by kind of an abusive father.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
I didn't read his book because I don't like reading books about people that I know. Because I want to know them the way I know them.
Yep.
But so he was forced into a game. He was resentful, but he couldn't talk because his father would hit him or whatever. And then I think he got to a point where he was stuck. It was like he couldn't get out of it. It wasn't his choice. When he got old enough to have it to be his choice, he didn't, he was stuck. He was in a world that he didn't know how to get out of.
It's amazing. I mean, how can you be any good? When that's,
I don't know. He played by anger. I don't know, with anger in him, maybe.
But I thought when I read that, and I didn't read the whole book, I read bits and pieces of it, and by all accounts, it was a great book. But I thought, geez, what? I mean, I get it. If you're going to write a book, you're supposed to say everything. I've learned that lesson. I fucked that part up. But it's like that part, just go tell the therapist and keep that over there. Let us. Anyways, it's his book. It's his life. It's his story. But I don't know. I think we share that reaction. It was like, wow, because we love.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get it either. I don't know of any other champion that has felt that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to my dad, he was. All I can say is, and I know you. I mean, he's the most humble man I've ever.
Your mom's still alive?
Yes, she is.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 88. 80, living in Fort Lauderdale.
How does she do? How is she doing with?
She's doing okay. They were married forever.
60
60 years. They're. You know what? My mom. She's in a good place because she's in Fort Lauderdale and she has 4 of her kids within 30 minutes.
Yeah, and that means grandkids, and then that means great.
So we all visit her, and you gotta. People are living longer. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And your dad passed away of just kind of.
He had pneumonia. He had the bad cold and the fever, and it turned into pneumonia. And he did not have good quality of life for about 2 years. So I didn't go into hysterics, and it was. Sometimes I wonder, thinking that I should have grieved more.
Physically bad quality of life, or
just couldn't get. Was walking with the walker and kind of was hunched over, and just, I mean, he was an athlete,
Right.
No,
and you don't want, I mean, quality of life is a huge issue.
It is.
Like if you're used to just working, being an athlete or being
I mean, they would
outdoors or
sit,
being fit. And,
I mean, he would sit and watch tennis on TV all day or sports on TV, but he couldn't. And he used to manage my money and he used to do all my, a lot of my business, and that he couldn't, he just said, I can't do it anymore, like 5 years ago. So the quality of life diminished, and it was almost a relief, when he went.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad your mom's doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, Chrissy, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
You're our
Lance.
first female
We
guest.
did lady, woman.
On the
I know.
Yeah, first
I'm
lady,
honored.
first woman, first. What were you on the skit? The She Beast. Is that what you? I think that's what you said. But
that was so long ago. But
I mean, we could have started with any woman, but
I'm honored.
This
Thank
is
you.
a high hurdle. Like I don't know who I'm gonna do next. I'll have to.
Thank you.
I thought about Madeleine Albright because
she'd be great.
She would be great, but like I see her at not anymore because the Aspen Club they tore down. But I would see her on the stepper or on the elliptical.
Oh, nice.
At the Aspen Club. I'm over there running or whatever, and I see Madeleine Albright just kicking ass on the elliptical, and I'm like, of course these days everybody posts everything and tweets and whatever. I was like, I have to tweet this, like
that's
that
pretty
moment.
special.
You're right.
Yeah.
So that would be cool too, but it's going to be hard to top starting with this.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds, especially. I mean, she doesn't have a juicy love life like I had.
Listen, I tried to just touch on it and get off of it as quickly as I could, and you brought it back up. But we're not going there.
No.
We're not going there. You know what? We've said enough that people can go look it up.
Or not. It's their
This
choice.
is 2016. They look up everything.
I know.
Hey guys, guys and gals, give it a goog.
No.
Okay. Thanks, Chrissy.
Thank you, Lance.
Thanks for tuning in to the Forward Podcast. Like I said at the top of the show, if you have anything you want to say, if you have a suggestion, please, God knows I need suggestions, or questions or concerns or criticisms or whatever, let me know. Send me an email. Send it to theforwardpodcast@wedosport.com. I know it's long. I know it's a little confusing. theforwardpodcast@wedo, WEDU, sport, singular.com. theforwardpodcast@wedosport.com. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you next week.